to you that there's a connection, and it's actually a connection you can't help but avoid. So, personal brand or business brand? Why is that an issue? Well, I think the best example probably comes from professional services, accountants and solicitors. We've, on several occasions, tried to persuade accountants or solicitors to brand up and to base their brand upon their organisational personality. And they all too often connect this with the personality of the people who run the business, so the partners in it. And they all too often resist the notion of using those people's personalities as a basis for the brand because they're worried about succession. And we actually think that this is an opportunity missed. And I'll go on to hopefully prove this to you. So if you think about any organisation, and if there's a group of people or an individual at the top of it who runs it, and they're responsible for employing the people in it, when they're looking for people to employ, what are they going to draw towards them? They're going to draw towards them people who have a similar mindset, or people who have similar values, or perhaps even people who have similar interests. And as a consequence, they collect around them a group of people who are like-minded, who are actually a bit like their personality. And it's because of this, we strongly feel that individuals' personalities, as a business grow, can be an important part of their corporate personality, if you see what I mean, as that business grows. Because inevitably, the sort of values and personality that they bring to their business will be the ones that their employees do as well. Not just through following, but because likes attract like. You know, we like working with people who we get on with and who we have similarities with. That's not to say that dissimilarities are a bad thing. They're a good thing. They're a good thing for challenging. But I think this basis, that this sort of chemistry that organisations developed without even trying, is the reasons why brand exists. Because ultimately, it's a group of people coming together to achieve something that's bigger and better than they could achieve individually. And that it's what is that? What is that special something that's different? And that's what we're so interested in finding out. And more often than not, it is connected with the personality and values of the leader of the organisation. So I think another example that I can share with this is that we quite often run workshops on behalf of our clients, speaking to their staff about what they believe about the organisation they're working for. And all too often they express, well, hang on, how can my purpose be connected to this business? It's not my business. How can my deep feelings, experiences be connected to this business? And what we're able to do in the workshops is help them understand that actually there is usually something in an employee's past or experience that does connect to the very purpose of the business that they're working for, and that there is therefore an overlap. So I guess what I'm trying to explain here is that the authenticity doesn't have to be the right of a business owner. It can be the right of a member of the business as well. So an example has already been given of this. If you think about the experience you get when you engage with a virgin business, it is imbued with the way Richard Branson has chosen to build his business. There's a sort of informality but service orientation. And I think that's most volubly shown if, for instance, if you got on a Virgin aircraft and the different way that you get treated there than you would if you were getting on a BA aircraft. Excuse me whilst I take some water. So what I'm going to use is a theory from Simon Sinek, which I bet loads of you have heard of. And I expect you've all come across his, or those of you that have heard of him, have come across his what, how, why. Imagine 3 concentric circles with the inner circle being why, the middle circle being how, and the outer circle being what. And I want to use this to show you how an individual's personality or our individual experiences and personality can be connected to the business brand that we're working for or that we own. So the way we do it is, certainly the way we do it for our clients is we first of all start on the outer ring and we ask, okay, let's ask ourselves seriously, what do we do? And very often, I think people have a tendency to try and immediately answer that with their USP. And the danger with this is that actually you never discover what they do. You just discover what's specially different about them. So you don't know what's that related to. So when we ask the question about what do you do, we're literally asking, what would you say to somebody in a dinner party if they said to you, or at drinks, or somebody in the pub, if they asked you, what do you do? Very often we'll use quite a stereotype as a way to help them understand the sort of sphere that we work in. So we don't get too esoteric and start going into our 60-second commercial, as it were. And then we ask the question, okay, so how do you do it? And this question isn't just about the processes we use to go about doing what we're doing. This question is also about, so how do we do it differently? How do we do it differently from a competitor down the road? What's different in the way that we do it? So it's not about the process, it's maybe more about the personality and style that you bring to the business that you're running. And then we get on to the nutty bit of it, right at the middle circle, where we ask, why do you do it? Now this is actually can be a very emotional question, or certainly the answer to it can be very emotional. But this is the bit where I guess we're asking our clients to think very deeply. So if I was answering these questions on a very sort of top line level, in the way that actually isn't helpful, I'd say, well, Glued, well, we do design and marketing. And then I'd ask myself, how do I do that? Well, we do that by understanding our clients. And then why do I do that? To earn a living. So all of that is true to an extent, but there's nothing emotive in there, nothing pulling at the heartstrings to get us involved with the business I'm talking about. So the way we believe that you can genuinely get to that emotive difference, that valuable difference as we call it, is by truly understanding the reason why you or me or whomever it is we're speaking to has ended up in the business that we're in, ended up in the organisation and ended up doing the sort of thing that they're doing. And I'll give you an example. It's from me. So sometimes when I say this, I actually discover more stuff about it. But we reverse the question, having asked it simply, what, how, why. We now go to, well, let's start the other way. Let's ask the why question first. And it took me some time to get to this why. But I discovered my why is driven by the fact that broken home's the wrong term, but my parents basically did a wife swap. Can you believe it? Then they got back together again. This is with the kids around. Then they split up again. So I ended up looking for surrogate families, as it were. And they ended up being with other families, all in very different sort of makeups than the ones I'd been used to being around. And I discovered that what I was looking for the value in other structures, family structures. And that then, understanding that or re-realizing that, helped me understand why I do what I do and how I go about it in the way that I do. So my why becomes seeing the value in other people's worlds. And then my what becomes, I use what Germans call Verstehen, which is kind of like a deep understanding. It's like a depth of understanding, which is literally what we're doing here now. And that then allows me to reveal the valuable difference of the businesses that we work for want of a better term, USP. So that hopefully begins to get to the nub of why the questions, what, how, why are so valuable, and how you can link the value, the why, to how you do it, and to what you do. I've got one other example to share, which I think is a little bit more expressive than mine, which is there's an organisation we worked with, and it took a little time to get to the bottom of this, but we were trying to work out what were the answers to the what, how, why questions for an IT business. And for this particular individual, and ultimately their business, employed quite a few people, they actually had a challenging upbringing. And in that challenging upbringing, they were kind of the fixer in the home. And what they realized was that they'd ended up finishing their young life wanting to have a positive impact on the people around them. And that then became their why. Their why was to have a positive impact on anyone they come into contact with. And that translated into their how, which was to help people make friends with technology. And then that translated into their what, which was to make technology do good. So that's why I think it's so valuable. It's worthwhile digging deep to find out what your why is, because it can truly help you understand how you've ended up doing what you do in a valuably different way, and what makes it saleable above and beyond your competition. And it also helps to shape the authenticity of what you've got to offer. Has that made anyone think about their why in any way? Anybody willing to share?
Good afternoon. My name is Wadana Onteri. I'm a